Well, New York State and New York City are heading in a very, very bad direction. And I'm making a video about this because New York City has the flag for New York City. This is the state of New York because the crime is getting worse and they are taking the freedoms away of the citizens of New York instead of actually doing something about the criminals. We're going to talk about the subway crime. We're going to talk about the MTA corruption and how the MTA is in bed with Riders Alliance, Fraudsters Alliance. That was a subject I've been wanting to do a while, but now we have a video. We can tie this all together for you. All right? So let's get to the latest nonsense coming from New York City right now. We all know that the crime on the subways is out of control. And now what they're doing is they are dispatching the National Guard to New York City subways, but they're not actually going to be riding the trains. No, they're going to be doing random bag checks. That's right. Slowing, inconveniencing, law-abiding commuters with bags, making miss their trains, instead of actually doing something about getting the criminals out of the system. So let's watch this latest video from Fox 5 New York. We're going to see if there is a video here, first of all. So it says, National Guard dispatched to fight subway crime.
Today's attack on that subway conductor happening just hours after Governor Hochul unveiled her plan to crack.
Yes, the subway conductor was attacked with a glass bottle. A bag check probably would have done absolutely nothing to stop that.
Down on the rising subway violence.
All right, it includes bringing in the National Guard, who, as you see here, are already helping with bag searches at Grand Central.
Bag
Fox
searches.
5, Sharon Crowley has the latest.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
Members of the National Guard searched the bags of subway riders at Grand
these
Central.
people are no
it's
threat.
Something many New Yorkers haven't seen since right after 9/11. And this just hours after Governor Kathy Hochul made her announcement deploying the Guard, state police, and transit cops to assist the NYPD.
Does that girl look like a threat to you? Does that girl look like a threat to you? But no, we're going to search a bag instead of getting the dangerous people out of the system, instead of kicking the homeless out. No, we're going to search the bags of people and inconvenience them. How do you destroy the New York City subway system? Well, you're seeing it. You're seeing it. People aren't going to want to put up with this.
Screenings to combat crime on the subways.
I'm here to take action.
The aggressive move to deploy the National Guard into the public transit system comes after a subway conductor was stabbed in the neck last week and another rider was shoved onto the tracks. Incidents.
A bag check would have stopped none of those crimes. None of them.
Rash of violent crimes underground since the start of the year.
There are crazy people on the subway, so I don't think it's a bad idea.
And just today, another MTA conductor was hit on the head with a bottle on a subway in the Bronx.
It makes it appear that New York is the nation's biggest city.
Yeah, a bag check would have done something to stop that. Yeah, right.
Is a place where criminals are in charge and the people who are trying to live there aren't.
Political consultant Hank Scheinkoff says because the state is in charge of the transit system, the governor had to do something drastic, especially since this is an election year where Republicans often portray blue cities as soft on crime.
It's all political. Is the lifeline of the city. If it doesn't function, if it isn't safe, the city goes down the toilet with it.
Critics are already questioning how effective random bag searches will be in reducing crime, and whether doing so will damage New York City's reputation as a place Mayor Adams repeatedly calls the safest big city in America.
No, it's not.
Well, realistically, there's over 1,000 subway entrances. Only a small number.
Of course,
of them
they
will have
interview
troops
this
with them at
guy,
any
Danny Pearlstein. Of course, they interview him.
given time. People can refuse to be searched. People can find a different entrance. The likelihood of this actually preventing any crime is incredibly small.
Well, the mayor
he's right about that. The bag searches aren't going to do a damn thing.
says that this spike in crime is largely due to a relatively small number of repeat offenders. He and the governor are hoping these random bag
because of bail reform.
checks do something to deter crime.
They will do nothing.
Sharon Crowley, Fox 5 News.
So this was all started by Eric Adams. He's the one who suggested this. Bringing back bag checks. That's right. So you're riding the subway, you're running late, and you got a bag check, and now you missed your train, and you could be waiting there a while for the next train. Just because Eric Adams says, well, we want to just inconvenience people as much as we possibly can while letting criminals just run loose in the city. I mean, you want to know how to destroy New York City? Well, ask Eric Adams. First he let all the illegals in, Now he's doing this. This guy is the worst mayor ever, and she's the worst governor ever. So I'm going to play a few more stories for you on this. Amid rising crime, Hochul deploys troops to the New York City subway. That's right, but they're not going to be riding the trains. Don't you think they should be riding the trains? And of course, they're focused on Midtown. What about all the outer boroughs? And I'm getting socked with an ad here. So we're going to just wait for this ad to finish playing. It's ridiculous that I got to sit through this long, long ad. But eventually it'll finish playing. Well, yeah, they want you to buy a car. That's right. Buy a car. Don't take the subway. So, play this.
Subway riders safe, bag checks, and beefed up security with members of the National Guard.
As CBS 2's Naveen Dhaliwal reports, the plan comes on the same day as another attack on a conductor.
With riders on edge,
how about
the
repealing
governor
bail
is putting
reform?
a plan in place that includes cameras in conductor cabs and more cops on the platforms. At Grand Central Terminal Wednesday evening,
we're going to check this old lady's bag. Look at this.
As tackling subway safety is now at the top of the list for city and state officials.
As if the subway isn't bad enough.
Heinous attacks on our subway system.
Oh, you're just full of crap, Governor. Come on. Yeah, it won't be tolerated. How about repealing bail reform?
This was a stern message from the governor after several attacks in the transit system in the past week. The latest today, where police say an MTA conductor was hit on the head with a bottle in the Bronx.
And I'm sure a bag check would have stopped that, right?
Attacks prompting the governor to deploy 1,000 members of the National Guard and police to subway systems across New York City.
What they're doing, checking bags to make sure explosive or illegal weapons aren't entering our subway system.
They can put guns and knives in their pockets, can't they? I mean, really?
Each week, NYPD bag screening teams will be at 136 stations. That's about a third of the stations in the system. New York City Civil Liberties Union calling it heavy-handed.
I agree. It is heavy-handed.
Like stop and frisk.
No, it's not like that. It's like, you see the people being stopped. Do they look like a threat? No. It's random. It's random. It's just designed to inconvenience people and invade their privacy. I'm not going to submit to this.
Ripping a page straight out of a Giuliani playbook. Mayor Eric Adams, on the other hand, says not at all.
They're random. They're not profiling. They are random.
Riders have mixed feelings.
I've got to trust the NYPD if they feel that there's cause and it's not discriminatory. That's the real issue. We got to keep our city safe, but it's got to be equitable.
That's just racial profiling, and it's just a way to solve a fake problem that's not there.
In addition to the bag checks, the governor's plan includes amending state law to ban repeat offenders, installing cameras in each conductor's cabin.
At least should be able to ban repeat offenders. This is something that we've been talking about for a while.
And a plan to improve coordination between cops and DAs to go after repeat offenders.
We have a recidivist problem. When you look at the subway system, we have...
Yeah, because we got to repeal bail reform. There are a lot of violent people out on the streets who should be in jail right now.
38 people who were arrested for assaulting just transit workers. They committed...
This guy likes to talk out of both sides of his mouth.
126 crimes in our city.
The MTA
and I'm sure the bag checks will keep them away, right? I'm sure of that.
Plans to develop an early warning system for repeat offenders, so district attorney offices will have a heads up for booking processes. In Columbus Circle, Naveen Dhaliwal, CBS 2 News.
So you see there, this is going to do nothing but inconvenience people taking the subway, and people are going to say, you know what? Not only do I got to worry about now being a crime victim, but missing my train and having my bag searched. You know, so guess what? Less people are going to ride the subway. You know, after what happened to me last time when I took the subway and there was a delay and I had to wind up walking, I'm just going to walk. I don't want to deal with this. It's quicker to walk. If I'm going from Penn to Port Authority, it's quicker for me to walk than deal with this. You know, and if I'm going from somewhere to like downtown, then I'm probably just going to take a bus or something because I don't want to deal with having my bag searched. That's ridiculous and utterly unnecessary and a complete violation of people's civil rights. But while the criminals run free, but that's what it's all about. It's all about restricting our freedom while the criminals continue to do what they want. That's what limousine liberals want to do. And so now this is going to lead me into the next thing. All right, so speaking of Fraudsters Alliance, I have some quotes from you. that I'm going to look at here. Riders Alliance, an advocacy group for strap hangers, said the well-intentioned placement of troops at gateways to busy substations could work against the MTA as it struggles to overcome riders who see the system as unsafe. They're saying it's likely to increase the perception of crime. So they also, Riders Alliance has always been against putting more cops in the subway. All right. I fully support putting a lot of cops in the subway. I think we need to have a cop on every train, personally. All right. But they're trying to say this is racial profiling, which is a bunch of BS. That's not what it is. So here's another quote here. Transit experts worry that the extra vigilance could have the opposite, making deploying troops to the subway will increase the perception of crime. Now, I feel safer with the troops there. All right? I just don't think they should be searching bags. I don't think they should be standing at turnstiles. I think they should be on the platforms. I see them at the entrances. They need to be on the platforms, riding the trains. All right? Mr. Pearl seems full of it. But the MTA's been downplaying this thing over and over again. They've been downplaying it. Over and over again. When you look at the MTA executive leadership, like Liber, he's in bed with Riders Alliance. Richard Davey, too. They all are. They're in bed with. They don't really want to do what's really necessary to make the system safe. They talk about it, but they don't want to do it. We got to get the homeless out, all right? You can't just hang out in the subway all day, all right? Many of these homeless people are violent. They need to be out of the subway. They need to be out of the subway. They can keep a record of them, and the MTA and the police, whether it be the state troopers or the National Guard or the NYPD, when they find these people, they need to be removed from the system. All right? And they need to be put in a controlled setting, whether that be jail, whether that be a hospital, but they can't be out on the streets. But everybody is denying that. No, instead they'd rather search people's bags, which is doing apps. You saw it in the video. They're searching people who are no threat. They're just inconveniencing innocent people while the criminals get to run loose. It's unbelievable. So we're talking about corruption with Liber. So guess where Liber was seen? And this video was sent to me a while ago, but I'm going to play it for you right now. So we can get this to play here.
Congestion pricing is a crime. You should know that.
So he's seen at a congestion pricing rally at Riders Alliance. That's right. The MTA is in bed with Riders Alliance. It's not some kind of conflict of interest or something.
You should know that. It's a crime. You are complicit.
Congestion pricing is a crime.
Guys, why are y'all supporting Riders Alliance, Mr. Chairman? That's a fair question. We do all the work, Mr. Chairman. We attend all the meetings.
Passengers United is the one speaking up for the people, not Riders
You know
Alliance.
that, Jano. Come on, Jano. You're my friend. Why are you going to Riders Alliance?
He's in bed with Wall Street. There he goes, just walking away. This is, because it's all part of the plan. It's all part of what's going on here. And then I think Davey was also seen. Another video was sent to me here.
Oh, the Eagle has landed.
So you can see he came out of Riders Alliance too.
Can you hear me?
This is the Riders Alliance office here. They got a fancy office, I think. See the R above it?
But he comes, but he takes the sentencing early.
There's Richard Davey.
Yep.
There he is. So they're going to organizations with Riders Alliance. So what more proof do you need that Wall Street's in bed with the MTA? What more proof do you need of what's happening? And all this stuff is just designed to make less people take the subway so they can cut service more. That's what it's all about. It's all about ruining the city. Certain demographic, they're going to be okay. They're going to be most. Look at Riders Alliance. They don't even take the system. They ride around in their cars. They can afford to pay these congestion pricing fees. It's all designed to, say it with me, price us out. That's what it's all designed. And now, you can't take the subway anymore. If you want to get somewhere in a timely manner, you have to take an Uber or something. I mean, this is what they're doing. Nobody wants to deal with bag checks on top of dealing with homeless people all over the subway system. I mean, this is absolutely and utterly preposterous. It's preposterous. But this is what this governor thinks. Keeping our subways north, protecting you are full of it. You are full of it, Governor Hochul. Really full of it. I think Janet Lieber's standing right next to her right there in that picture. They're all in this together. What more proof do you need of what's going on? It's all designed to drive us out. Let's go to 1010 Windsor and see the latest what's going on here. Subway conductor strike. Yeah, sure. Sure. A bag check would have stopped that. A bag check would have stopped that. Right. I'm not going to submit to bag checks, and I'm urging all my viewers, don't submit to this nonsense. You know, as long as the bums are allowed to hang out on the subway all day, I ain't having my bag checked. No way. You can refuse. They're just not going to deny you entry. You just refuse, you go into a different entrance. That's all. Hopefully somebody's going to set up a website so people know where these bag checks are so they can avoid them. Because it's absolutely nonsense, and we need to show them that it is nonsense. It's not going to work. You're literally punishing citizens because of criminals. I mean, only in New York. Only in New York. But let's lastly talk about the last thing going on in New York. Well, they arrested the 4 people charged in all the body parts dumping, but they were all released with no bail. That's right. So we're going to play the story from News 12 because we're in New York State. That's right. Only in New York, folks.
New details tonight in the human body parts investigation. Butcher knives, meat cleavers, just some of the evidence prosecutors pointed to as 4 suspects were charged and then released. Team coverage tonight.
And released. You heard that right, folks.
And Krista, let's be clear here. These suspects are not charged with murder, but are facing some very serious allegations.
So apparently under New York State law, chopping a body up is not considered a violent crime. Yeah.
That's right, Joe. None of the 4 people have been charged with murder at this time. However, according to court documents, they are being charged with attempting to conceal, alter, or destroy human body parts. Now, all 4 of those people walked out of court today with no bail.
No bail. That's right.
I don't care what you did.
The 4 people who have been arrested in connection with the human remains scattered on Long Island angrily walked out of the courthouse following their arraignment. 44-year-old Stephen Brown, 38-year-old Jeffrey Mackey, 40-year-old Amanda Wallace, and 33-year-old Alexis Nieves are all facing charges of hindering prosecution, tampering with physical evidence by concealing or destroying, and concealment of a human corpse. The suspects allegedly went through great lengths to avoid apprehension, according to prosecutors.
Yep.
And they say they allegedly hacked and scattered limbs in Nassau and Suffolk County. The prosecution also stated in court that there is significant evidence, including meat cleavers, butcher knives, and significant amounts of blood that were found. Court documents state that the defendants removed body parts from their home and concealed them at multiple locations. The 2 victims, police say, are a 59-year-old woman and a 53-year-old man.
We've entered a plea of not guilty. We have not received any discovery at this point. We maintain our innocence. We look forward to receiving
I'm going to show you the street where they were living on
whatever evidence they have, and we plan on fighting it vigorously.
He didn't have anything to do with this and certainly didn't kill anybody.
None of the 4 suspects are being charged with murder at this time. They all lived or were staying at the home located at 25 Railroad Avenue in Amityville.
There's a lot of people in there. Recently there was a couple that moved in. So that's and I don't know them.
That's
now,
not
all
the
4
story I
suspects
wanted
were
to play
released
for you.
with GPS monitoring. They also had to surrender their passports. And while prosecutors say upgraded
Surrender
charges
their passports. So they're not even U.S. citizens.
could be coming, many are wondering how people could be released without bail in a case like this.
And that part, I don't know. They don't seem to have it here. Where is it? Here we go.
Prosecutors and community members aren't happy with that decision at all. Many are blaming bail reform for the suspect's release. News 12's Kevin Vesey is in Amityville. Kevin, how concerned are residents there with this decision?
Yeah, Antoinette, there really is quite a bit of concern here tonight in Amityville. You know, considering just how horrific and gruesome those charges are, a lot of people around here thought those suspects would be held behind bars.
Yeah.
Instead, they were released, free to come back to this community.
It's unbelievable.
How do you feel?
Not all that safe.
People in Amityville on edge tonight. after the 4 suspects linked to the body parts case were let out of jail without having to post bail. According to police, the suspects live in this house on
New York,
Railroad
a criminal's
Avenue.
paradise.
Doesn't look good. In court, prosecutors argued the suspects went through barbaric lengths to dispose of the bodies and said they'd likely do the same to flee if let go. But the judge repeatedly said cash bail was not available under the current statutes. Suffolk District Attorney Ray Tierney blaming the state's bail reform law, writing in a statement, "This is yet another absurd result thanks to bail reform and a system where the legislature in Albany substitutes their judgment for the judgment of our judges and the litigants in court." In response, a spokesperson for the governor wrote, Governor Hochul changed the bail laws to make sure criminals can be held on bail.
Yeah, not
that
enough.
includes
Not
any
enough.
individuals charged with murder, rape, or other violent felonies. But these suspects were only charged with non-violent offenses. Toro law professor Richard Klein
apparently
says
that's
that means
not
the
considered
judge
violent. Chopping up a body is not considered violent. Only in New York.
had little choice, and the outcome might have been different without bail reform.
But a very high bail could have been set. The judge simply could have been said, look, this is a very strong case against you. The charges are not for homicide. So there was no option for the judge.
They have to do what they need to do in order to bring them to justice.
Now, according to the judge's ruling, the suspects will be required to remain in Suffolk County, and we'll know pretty soon if they show up to court when they're supposed to. So they're due back either this coming Friday or on Monday of next week.
And they might flee the country. Yeah, they got the GPS monitoring, but it doesn't give me much hope. You know, unbelievable. This is New York State for you. And the governor, I mean, I knew this would happen. This state is being destroyed. I knew it. That's why during the election, I fought so hard that Tom Suozzi would be the Democratic nominee. But no, Wall Street backed her. All right, so she won the front. And then, of course, in the general, I've supported Lee Zeldin. All right, even though he was a Trump supporter, he would have been a lot better of a governor than this woman right here. This would not be going on if Lee Zeldin won. But no, the limousine liberals used their power once again to get their way again. It's unbelievable. I mean, New York is being destroyed. The whole state is being destroyed by this administration. And, you know, this state's my home, but, you know, between the weather, between the crime, and our freedoms being taken away in the name of security, which isn't going to do anything to actually make us any safe. You know, after 9/11, the bag checks actually did have a purpose. But now they have no business coming back. But they're doing that, and the crime is going to continue. And wait till the summer comes. It's going to be a long, hot summer. You were warned, voters in New York. I tried to warn you all. But not enough of you got the message. And now we're stuck with this mess. Thank you for watching.